All right. So we are rolling. I'd like to welcome everybody to the August 3rd, 2021 meeting of the Milford Planning and Zoning Board. If we could please have the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Meg, if you would please call the roll.
Sure. Miss Austin,
Present.
Mr. Castagnoli,
Here.
Mr. Cater,
Present.
Mr. Collegian,
Present.
Miss Kearney,
Here.
Mr. Moore,
Present.
Mr. Mortimer,
Present.
Mr. Sadi,
Present.
Mr. Zaharides,
Here.
and Chairman Quish.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, we've got a full board. First order of business is that what has been scheduled as a public hearing, 126 Smith Street, will not be on tonight because there was a defect in the notice. And that's unfortunate. And I know people are out, put their time together to attend this virtual meeting, but we will not hear this tonight. It was a mistake that was made and it was not properly noticed. So the next available date will be Wednesday, the 8th of September, not Tuesday, but Wednesday, the 8th. So the next order of business is under new business, Connecticut General Statute 824-167 Hilldale Road and 38 Hilldale Road, request by the City of Milford pursuant to CGS Section 824 for the acquisition of 2 certain pieces or parcels of property and 3 seawall construction, grading, and maintenance easements as depicted on a certain map entitled Topographic Survey 167 Hilldale Road, prepared by Phyllis Boynton, AKA 167 Morningside Drive, Parcel B, dated 7/20/15 and revised 5/10/21 by Codispoti Associates, BC. Do we have somebody from the city to present this to us?
Yes, Steve Johnson is here. Steve has to unmute.
There we go. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Chairman Quish and Mr. Salkus. This is.
I'm sorry, Steve, just state your name and address for the board.
Yeah, sorry, Steve Johnson, Assistant Public Works Director for the City of Milford.
Thank you.
This is a project that came before the Planning and Zoning Board for a CAM application review and approval several years ago. We've just, because of COVID and some other issues, we're finally in the process of finalizing this project. This is a project, as Mr. Salkus described and you read, Mr. Quish, a project at Morningside Drive along Hilldale Court. And the purpose of this is to protect an existing seawall and the road infrastructure at that corner of Morningside Drive and Hilldale Road. So this includes the acquisition of several pieces of property to construct the seawall that the residents are in support of, and easements that would allow for the construction as well as maintenance and public access to this property once it is completed. Be happy to answer any questions that people do have. This is a project that was funded through the state's CDBG DR program, which stands for Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program. The funding for this program has been extended until December of 2022. So we're anxious to get this project approved and moving forward.
Okay, so this wall is in front of a private property?
That's correct. And that's the purpose. It's in front of 167 Morningside Drive, which is the Boynton property. And that property is eroding, and that eroding bluff is undermining the Army Corps wall at the intersection of Hilldale Court and Morningside Drive, and impacting the potential infrastructure of that roadway and access to Hilldale Road.
So will this be contiguous with an existing wall? Will it actually join up?
Yes, yeah, so the design plans will allow this to reinforce and connect to the Army Corps wall at the junction of Hilldale Court and Morningside Drive. And it will also reinforce an eroding portion of bluff at 38 Hilldale Court, which is the other purpose of the small parcel acquisition that will allow this project to be completed.
So that property acquisition, that piece of property will now become city property?
Correct, yes.
Will there be access for the public to get to that property, enjoy the view?
Yes, so part of this project is a public access easement across the top of the bluff. And as part of the project, so there's going to be a walking area across the top of this bluff once the revetment is constructed. And there's going to be some seating to overlook the Long Island Sound.
Great. Okay. Is there any questions or comments from the board?
I have some, Mr. Quish, through you to Mr. Johnson. Just so we can verify, I can see in your map, the Hilldale Road and Morningside Drive. So I assume that's the 167. It appears that Hilldale Court goes around behind it. Trying to find out where 38 Hilldale Court fits into this.
Yeah, so it's on the left-hand side of this screen. So you'll see Hilldale Court, which is the Garcia property parcel there.
Okay. But are we getting one parcel? Or are we getting two separate parcels? Or just they have the same address at the location?
There's two separate parcels. So the Garcia parcel has a small.
Hey, when you coming back to Tony Genastasio say once arrived?
Yes, somebody's got to mute, David.
Yeah, hold on.
Of all the kids.
I know.
He's
Okay,
So
you're all set. You can continue.
Good,
Okay.
Steve, thank you.
yeah, so there's a conveyance of land from the Garcia parcel, which represents about 140 square feet. So it's a very small portion of land, but it is necessary as far as the construction of this revetment that's pointed out. It's a triangular piece of the property.
David, could you share screen again or give it to Stephen to show us?
This is the Garcia property.
Yes, and you'll see that triangular section just below where David's hand is moving is at 140 square feet, just to your right, just to your right, that little tiny sliver right there.
And is that the only public access?
No, the public access is extending across the top of the bluff. It's,
So where's the bluff? Yeah, I'm not sure I understand.
yeah, so the bluff, if the bluff is this portion, I don't know if you see my arrow here,
No,
at where it says conveyance of land from Boynton to the city of Milford, which represents about 8,200 square feet of property.
Now, is there a home between that new property and the seat and the beach?
No, the home that existed there has been demolished and no longer exists.
Okay. And will at one point there potentially be a house there so that the public access is no longer beachfront?
No, there's no opportunity to develop that between the public access way and the coastal bluff. It's a rather steep. It's not walkable, and that bluff revetment is going to reinforce that bluff from further erosion.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, seeing none, I would hear a motion.
Mr. Quish, I'll make a motion pursuant to CGS 824. I move to approve as presented the request of City of Milford pursuant to CGS 824 for the acquisition of 2 certain parcels or pieces of property and 3 seawall construction, grading, and maintenance easements, as depicted on a certain map entitled Topographic Survey 167 Haledale Road, prepared by Phyllis Boynton, AKA 167 Morningside Drive, Parcel B, dated 7/20/15, revised 5/10/21 by Cotespody and Associates, PC.
Thank you. We have Joseph Casignoli seconding. Do we have any discussion on the motion? If not, Meg, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Ms. Austin,
With the motion.
Mr. Cassignoli,
Yes.
Mr. Cater,
With the motion.
Mr. Collegian,
With the motion.
Ms. Kearney,
With the motion.
Mr. Moore,
With the motion.
Mr. Mortimer,
With the motion.
Mr. Sadi,
With the motion.
Mr. Zaharidis,
With the motion.
and Chairman Sadi. Chairman Quish.
Bob, did you take my spot already? Yes.
He's just.
I'm with
vice.
the motion. Thank you. That's unanimous.
Sorry, folks.
Unanimous. For those who have come to the meeting late, we have announced this and we will announce it again, that 126 Smith Street or 0 Smith Street, which it is also known as, will not be heard tonight. There was a defect in the notice and the notice requirements are very strict, and so that will not be heard tonight. It will be heard at the next available meeting to accommodate proper notice, which will be Wednesday, not Tuesday, Wednesday, the 8th of September. And thank you for your indulgence. The next order of business is 1015 Bridgeport Avenue, Zone CDD3, petition of Alex Rakak for construction of an outdoor covered patio on map 043, block 214, parcel 40, of which Altima LLC is the owner. This was continued from the 7/20/21 meeting. So David, if you would just recap for us and then talk about procedure. I think we should allow the applicant to speak up again, but to just give us an overview and then the applicant will have the floor.
Sure. So, probably the easiest thing for me to do would be to read my report, but basically the applicant is proposing to construct a patio that, has a roof over it from the existing building. The outside dining is allowed through the zoning regulations, section 5.20. No additional parking for the outside dining use would be needed per the new state statute. The city engineer requires further information regarding underground infrastructure per his review dated July 30th, 2021, which can be made a condition of approval. In accordance with the new state statutes, hours of operation for outside dining should be declared by the applicant and made a condition of the board's approval.
Okay, so we will give this over to the applicant to talk about their ideas and their proposal. You'd have to unmute though.
Sorry. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Raymond Lemley, LEM, LEY for Mr. Rakaj and Kiki LLC. As noted, this hearing started 2 weeks ago when there were several issues raised about the process that had gone on here. And I'd just like to clear up some of the concerns that were posed 2 weeks ago. I believe Mr. Rakaj has submitted a email that's part of the file at this point. But in case folks haven't had a chance to review that, I just wanted to point out that the prior occupant of the premises, Crush, had installed a patio and a bar, an outside bar at this location. When the present tenant, Mr. Rakaj and Kiki, took it over, they applied for a building permit which they believed encompassed both interior and exterior work. They proceeded to complete the interior work and obviously a substantial portion of the exterior work when they were notified that no, in fact, the permit only included the interior. So all work was immediately stopped at that point, and they were required to file the application that's currently pending. And again, I wanted to point out that there was a bar and a patio with the prior owner. All the interior work has been completed, signed off on, and liquor permit's been granted. Operations are ongoing for the interior. As noted, the fire marshal has reviewed and okayed the plan. There's some modifications that are proposed, which clearly should be a condition of approval. Also, as noted, the engineer has issued a report indicating approving it with certain conditions, again, which should be a condition of approval. There's photos that are part of the file, which if can be presented. I know they were presented last week, showing the prior conditions, and there is currently a bar there outside, which would hopefully be able to be maintained subject to the approvals and conditions of the board. And again, the point is, given the current situation with the emergency orders, which have now been converted into a state statute, we're trying to get exterior dining while the weather permits, and move forward with outdoor operations, subject obviously to the approval of the board at this point. So if there's any questions to be presented, that's all we have to say at this point.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So it doesn't need any further review or explanation from staff. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Course, I got a number of questions. This is through you, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Sulkus. Was there an administrative site plan review submitted to our office for review?
When you say you mean the administrative summary that I create?
No. Was there either an administrative site plan review or a site plan review submitted on behalf of the applicants to have us take action as a member of the board?
Well, their application was made to bring the outdoor dining area to this board, if that's your question. That's why they're here.
No, he's asking, is there a site plan?
Oh, well, if yes, yes, the site plan is part of, and I'll share this with you. I had it up here before. So,
And so that was reviewed by your office.
yes, so we have.
Is that, did I restate your question properly, Mr. Sadi?
So it's part of the submission to the board. This is their submission package, which we can go through here.
My point is this, is that when we received the materials for the, I think the Fratelli's restaurant, we received a completely different package of materials. And the new law seems to indicate that there must be a site. It says here must be a site plan review application. In my quick review of the new laws, and additionally, I have other questions, but if this is all we have is just the map without any paperwork that would normally go to the office, I guess it's a question of Mr. Sulkus.
That's a floor plan that we're just looking at.
Yeah, so hold on here. Let me, well, this is their submitted site plan.
Okay, so is that required to be stamped by a surveyor or PE or?
It should have their signature on it. This one does not have their signature on it. They did submit a survey.
Signature on the bottom there somewhere.
Yes, over here, they submitted a survey, which is signed. So here's the signature. This is the survey. And then typically what an applicant does is, they take the survey, they use it as their base to come up with their site plan. So in this particular case, they're showing us where the roof is, where the patio is, This is from their designer. Construction of an outdoor covered patio, it's entitled.
Yeah, thank you, because at the first time we had the hearing, we were not sure what documents we had.
Okay,
So now I get into the second question, Mr. Chair, through you to Mr. Sulkus. Under the change in the outdoor dining rules, which went into effect some time ago, and we, I believe 3, 4, or 5 meetings ago, extend them.
yes.
But it's now into state statute. Is it your understanding that this applies to a food establishment, not to a bar and lounge?
My understanding is it's for outdoor dining. I mean, that's what it says. It's for outdoor dining. How we,
Therefore, a bar and lounge would not be covered by the emergency order and the statute that was signed into effect for the outdoor dining.
No, I don't think that's accurate. The way I read it is that if you look at the language, and we can bring it up, it includes the sale of alcohol. The outdoor dining, the new legislation
well, right,
specifically identifies serving alcohol in the now newly permitted spaces. And
My question was to Mr. Sulkus, Mr. Quish, but I just,
well, no,
Why
so
not?
that's
There's a
fine. I'm just
distinction.
saying that then if there's a question, let's get the language of the new law up in front of us all right now, and we'll figure it out.
my understanding is that that law actually takes place at the end of the last order that the legislature put into place.
Yeah, we want to see the language though, because we have
Well, you have your
we're
own,
unclear whether it specifically
so right now,
identifies alcohol service as being now permitted.
okay, again, that law doesn't take effect till March of next year. You have your own law that mirrors the executive order that you adopted, section 520. So here's section 520, which mirrors the executive order, which is still in place. Remember, the executive order ended in July, then the legislature extended it, and then they created the law that will make this permanent. And I'll dig out the
What's
state.
that date?
Ours mirrored the state, which is March 31st, 2022. So ours expires at 2022, March of 2022, and that's when the new state law goes into effect.
Okay,
But, if you
so
want-
what I think what we want to do is we want to be, I think it's a smooth road from what was the executive order, what we extended through this board into March 22, when it's codified by the state.
Right.
That would be our smooth path, right?
So here's our language. If you want to look at that, I don't know if can you see it?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd probably help if I share the screen, huh?
Yep.
There you go. So this is our text that expires in 2022. Can you see? Tell me you can see it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so then we'd have to go back to the executive order where every restaurant that's done this has served liquor in these spaces. So it doesn't,
Yeah, I don't know that the serving of the liquor is the issue, because I mean,
well, that was the question that Mr. Sadi brought up. So that's why it's an issue now.
okay.
my question was
Chairman, if I
actually,
may-
is a bar and lounge allowed into this outdoor extension of the outdoor dining? And the only terms I see are temporary outdoor dining. I'm not contesting, Mr. Quish, that in the course of temporary outdoor dining, drinks may be brought into the temporary out dining area. I'm more concerned about the fact that if you got an existing bar and lounge, that's not temporary outdoor dining. That's a bar and lounge. It's not covered in our regulations that we extended based on the statute.
I'm gonna look now.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, that's your question.
Mr. Chairman, a quick point, just.
Yeah,
if
you're
I may.
welcome. Yeah, you're welcome to jump in.
Section 6 of the statute defines outdoor activities, which I'm quoting, outdoor activities mean outdoor food and beverage service or outdoor displays of goods for sale. Outdoor activities shall not include live entertainment, if that helps at all.
So that is the language that you just gave us is from the new legislation that comes into effect on March 2022.
Yes, sir. And my reading of it, though, says notwithstanding the provisions of Section 8.3 of the general statute, for the period commencing an effective date of this section and ending March 31, 2022. That's the language here in that I see in the House Bill 6610 that was converted into, I think, Public Act, Special Act 21-3.
So did you have a definition issue, Mr. Sadi, with the outdoor dining and the language that we're assuming is the intent to allow, whatever restaurant bar type situation to. Okay, so
Your question, I can answer you, but we can read this.
I didn't finish the question. I started reading. I'm sorry. So this is the
This is Halloran and Sage. It's a land use practice, legal practice, and this is their little summation for the dining regulations that are going to take effect.
So the act defines beverage to include alcoholic liquor and alcoholic beverages, general statute, food establishment that is licensed, permitted to operate under 19A36. Okay. I've read it, but
If you see, it says any form of food service, restaurant, bar, hotel, restaurant, event facility would be a food establishment under this act.
does that offer you some clarification, Mr. Sadi?
Makes it less clear. Because we have an existing structure that we all agree, when we look at all the pictures, is a bar, and then with the roof over, it's a lounge. And I'm.
Well, it's a
I think we're
restaurant,
getting-
isn't it? No.
It's a lounge. Is what we saw. Everything was outside. There were no big people there, but it's a lounge. I'm concerned about. They can say all they want about alcohol. Alcohol is coming from the bar that's inside of the restaurant to the outdoor dining area. So when we proved the Fratelli situation 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, they were bringing all the drinks from the inside to the outside. They didn't have a bar set up out there. I don't think we ever recognized and agreed to having a bar set up out there. I don't know what the liquor law requires. All I know is that this, at first blush, is not outdoor dining because it's got a roof over it and it's enclosed. They indicated at the previous meeting that they would knock down all the structures that would make it necessary to make it an outdoor area, which I didn't hear them saying take down the roof though. I think that all my questions have been answered at this point. Thank you.
Okay, so is the roof the issue? If there was no roof, what would you have a different feeling, whether it's compliant with both what we're trying to do here today and what our last approval to extend the executive order and have a smooth transition into the March 2022 codified regs? Is there something that's inconsistent with those things?
Yeah, my concern is that the structure was already put up, which may have been in violation of the zoning regs. There was a bar put up there outside, which may have been in violation of zoning regs. But outdoor dining, I suggest, under the rules that I've seen, should be outdoor dining, not a bar and a lounge, which is what they have in the physical facility, although it's outside of their other interior area. That's a concern that I have. If they take down the roof, they take down the bar, then it's outdoor dining.
Mr. Chairman, could I clarify something?
Sure.
As I said, Joe Griffith, the Director of Permitting and Land Use. As I clarified 2 weeks ago, our office is charged through coordinating the fire marshal's office, coordinating with the health department, as well as looking at the physical layout of all outdoor dining facilities. We've maintained across the city the standard of if you've got a roof, a tent, a canopy, any number of these things that are prevalent, that would be classified as outdoor dining, and that came from the health department. As soon as you start to partially enclose or enclose these spaces with walls, the health department has said, no, that's no longer outdoor dining, and that's where they cross the line. So I just wanted to make that clarification, if I may. Thank you.
So let me then again ask you, Mr. Griffith, is this, if there's a roof over the structure, is it no longer outdoor dining in the health department's eyes?
No, we consider it outdoor dining.
As long as there's no walls from the ground, leaving the ground?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
through you to Joe Griffin, is enough of this structure, which was built as a permanent structure when he went ahead and did this without the proper permits, is enough of this structure being renovated to make it an outdoor dining?
We've continued to, well, obviously, the permit and the application here in front of you tonight is based on it being outdoor dining because it is only the roof over it and the existing one exterior wall. It's open on 3 sides, and that's why we would continue to consider it outdoor dining.
So does he have to renovate this to do that?
The renovations that he's required to do to comply with code include, as we discussed at the last meeting, taking down the floor structure above and taking down the partial walls that are that he built in place. That's driven by the code, but as I said, it's also driven by making sure that this application conforms to being outdoor dining.
Okay, and who's going to make sure that he does that? Is that your department?
Yes, it is. We won't issue a certificate of occupancy until that work is done.
Okay.
I mean, and obviously it gets signed off by the fire marshal, gets signed off by the health department at the same time.
Okay. Okay, so when it's done, it will be classified as outdoor dining.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the petition of Alex Raycash for construction of an outdoor covered patio on map 43, block 214, parcel 40, of which Altama LLC is the owner.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I would like to ask that we amend the motion and the second to include, and David, if you would read off the 2 elements that city agencies have requested we include in any approval.
Yeah. Give me 2 seconds here. The conditions that were recommended were the applicant shall address to the satisfaction of the city engineer the issues in his July 30th, 2021 letter. And also the second recommended condition was in accordance with the new upcoming state statute. The hours of the outside dining should be declared and approved by the Planning and Zoning Board.
And they are, without declaration, it is closed at 9 o'clock. Is that accurate?
You'd have to, the applicant should say for the record or submit something that tells you exactly what time they close that patio. Right now, under the executive order, technically it would be 9 o'clock.
And so that is technically in the executive order and technically in the new law taking effect in March 2022 is that they are permitted to keep that open till 9 o'clock unless the board approves a different time.
That's correct. So it
That's
should be, yeah, so it should be clear what your expectations are with this approval.
So that is not part of the application at this point. A declaration of a request for certain hours.
That is, we do not have anything from the applicant stating to us what their hours of operation will be.
So then I would ask the
Mr.
applicant, if you were successful tonight without having presented us with anything other than the permitted hours, you would be permitted to go till only 9 o'clock. And I think that if you wanted to go further, you would be an amended and a different application that would come up again in front of the board.
Well, President, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Yeah, please, that's,
Right now, the restaurant is open till 11 p.m. So I would ask for 11. Obviously, it's at the discretion of the board, but on behalf of the applicant, I'm asking for 11.
so then from to David or to Joseph, is this now a new application that needs to be heard again?
I don't think it's a new application that needs to be heard again. You just
Joseph,
need,
Mr. Griffith?
I think we clarified that as part of Dave's recommended motion, that the terms, the hours of operation be part of this, the motion tonight.
Okay, so even though it's not part of the application, it could be part of the motion.
I
Yes,
believe
but-
that's the intent of the way we wrote it. Yes, correct, Dave?
correct.
Yeah.
So if the applicant is asking for 11 o'clock, then you could make that part of your motion, saying that the hours of outside dining are declared and approved by the planning and zoning board to be, no later than 11 o'clock. If you want it earlier, you change the time. It's up to you.
Or you stick to 9. So then I would again, Mr. Casignoli, it's your motion, so if you would amend it to include the city engineers and then whatever you feel is a time that that's appropriate, and then if we have a second, and then we can still have a discussion of the motion.
I think, Dave, you raised 3 issues, the city engineer, the time, and there was one other, was there one other issue you mentioned, Dave?
No, I mean,
Or just those 2 issues?
I think it was just those 2 issues. You just
Just
need,
those 2 issues?
Yeah.
Well,
You
Mr. Chairman, I would move to amend the motion with those 2 issues.
And what time would you put in there?
11.
Okay, and who made the second?
That was me. I second as well.
Okay, so the new motion and the new second is to include subsurface requirements of the city engineer and putting the time at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Are we compliant with everything the city wanted as conditions?
yeah, it's as long as, if, again, we use.
With the motion.
With the motion should be the applicant shall address to the satisfaction of the city engineer the issues in his July 30th, 2021 letter, which were subsurface issues, but and then in accordance with the new state statute, the hours out of the outside dining should be declared and approved by the planning and zoning board. Those hours shall be no later than 11 p.m.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion on the motion?
Yes, Mr. Quish, I have some questions through you to the proponent of the motion. Is it the intent of the board that the food be served in the out, because that's my problem. This is going to turn into a lounge. It's the purpose of that they have to serve food until 11 o'clock. If they don't serve food 11 o'clock, then the outside is not open. We shouldn't have an outdoor bar that's part of this outdoor dining. That's my concern.
That's correct. Bob, that is correct. I mean, they have to serve food. It's an outdoor dining area, so if they're going to stay open till 11, they serve food till 11. If they're not serving food, then it should be closed.
Thank you for
Now,
the
is there-
clarification.
No, that's good. Is there any issue with that with the applicant?
No, sir.
In
Not at
other
all.
words, if somebody comes in and just wants to drink, they also have to order food. Okay,
Correct.
all right.
Sir.
Okay, so that's the motion, and the second is still good, Carl?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, second motion consistent with the discussion. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Meg, if you would please call the roll.
Ms. Austin,
With the motion.
Mr. Cassignoli,
Yes.
Mr. Cater,
With the motion.
Mr. Collegian,
With the motion.
Ms. Kearney,
With the motion.
Mr. Moore,
With the motion.
Mr. Mortimer,
With the motion.
Mr. Sadi,
Against the motion.
Mr. Zaharides,
With the motion.
and Chairman Quish.
I am with the motion.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck with your restaurant, and thank you for coming in front of us.
Thank you. Thank the board. Thank you, sir.
So the next order of business is liaison reports. Mr. Sadi, do you have anything from regional planning?
No, sir, not this evening.
Okay, subcommittee reports. Wednesday next, we will have both the POCD and the regulations subcommittee. And the specific times will be noticed as well as agendas. Next order of business is approval of minutes. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
without objection. Approved. Next is the chair's report. We do have some new regs, and they're not perfectly clear regarding 830G, regarding our enabling legislation to give planning and zoning authority. We have some really interesting stuff on our capacity and ability to require energy efficiency and renewable energy on projects, as well as the ability to offer a carrot to developers. In the new legislation, there's new accessory structure legislation that is going to totally affect our board and what's going to be in front of us in the future. And I think it's going to be more than one time, but we will get the staff report at our next meeting to give us an overview of some of these changes. And I'm sure it's going to be an ongoing process to, wrap our arms around everything that that's changed. And I'm pretty excited about it. I think the potential for us to drive sustainability, energy efficiency, reducing carbon footprint in Milford is a great thing that we're going to have the ability to do now, which we really didn't before. So that's going to be interesting. Next is staff report.
Yep, I'm going to have that breakdown for you at your next meeting. And yeah, it's really interesting because some of the way the statutes were written are fairly clear, and some of them are not. So we'll be, I think, creating some new areas of land use, us and the other 168 towns. So it'll be sort of interesting to see how different towns interpret different parts of the statutes, and hopefully the end result will be something that you'll be pleased with, and making Milford a obviously better place.
Great. Also, for those who may have come late, the 126 Smith Street application is postponed until the next available meeting for notice requirements, which is Wednesday, September 8th. I see some faces here that may have come in late and didn't hear the other two announcements, that this is not going to be heard tonight due to a defect in the proper notice. Other than that, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Night.